Hey guys, let's check out how to play the newest character in Reverse 1999, Igor.
I know every one of you. You are all brave soldiers. Soldiers who would never abandon their combats. Why did you flee?
I saw the charging soldiers vanish in the rain. Who are we fighting? What are we fighting for?
This is a little bit more complicated here than things usually are, so please pay attention and follow along. First of all, Igor has 12 instead of just 5 Moxie. The ultimate Moxie consumption is increased to 8, but Igor cannot gain his ultimate. Instead, at the end of the round, he consumes as much Moxie as possible to cast his ultimate. This ignores all control effects, so let's say we would be stunned or silenced or anything like that, doesn't matter, we still fire this ultimate off. You will have to play Igor, of course, together with preferably low para and Muldia, because they give him beneficial effects. If you don't have them at your disposal, but you love Igor, that is your favorite character ever, and you would still want to play him no matter what, you could also do this together with Getjan and Melania. That is not recommended, but since there are still Beast Deflators characters that have one target attacks, it will work somewhat, at least. It is very, very important that you have Beast Deflators characters by your side, because if Beast Deflators characters use one target attacks, they inflict additional stacks of shrapnel. Shrapnel is what we are all about. This is our main mechanic and what the whole team is based around and tries to accomplish. Now, if low para is on the team, then when low para casts her ultimate, she distributes one bullet, a ritual bullet in fact, that increases ultimate might by 25% to the ally in front of her, and an incantation bullet that increases incantation might by 25% to the ally behind her. This is not necessarily why low para is here, more onto why low para is here in just a second. Muldia here is a little bit more important, or has a little bit of a better effect, I should say, when it comes to playing her together with Igor, because not only does she make it so that if she's on the team, Igor can reserve up to 5 excess Moxie, but after Muldia casts her ultimate, she grants additional Moxie to Igor. She gives Igor 2 Moxie instead of just 1. And since Muldia is able to cast her ultimate without actually having accumulated the 5 Moxie, that is very, very beneficial. The most important part though is that she inflicts 12 additional stacks of shrapnel on all enemies every time she uses her ultimate. That's why it's very, very important to play Muldia together with Igor, mainly because of these additional shrapnel stacks. They come in very, very clutch. Let me tell you real quick why low para is part of this team and irreplaceable must have. That is because of her ultimate creates the array Crucible Arsenal. What is so clutch about this is that when triggering a bullet effect, retain the final bullet of that bullet type. Every time we would usually run out of a bullet and consume the last bullet of its type, we do not actually consume that bullet, but we keep it in our pockets, and that is extremely important. Why? Because if we look at Igor's ultimate, which he will cast at the end of every single round, then for each type of bullet held, increases this attack's ultimate might enhancement multiplier by 8%. That is the reason, that is the key, why we at all times want to have as many different types of bullets attached to ourselves. And thanks to low para, we do never use up the last type of each bullet. How do we accumulate the bullets is by using Igor's incantation number 1, this buff right here, because we gain 2 random bullets from an arsenal. this arsenal can give us up to 6 different types of bullets, 1 per type. So without low para, we would be constantly in need to recast this buff over and over and over and over and over again to always have these 6 types of bullets. But with low para, we don't need that. We need to accumulate these 6 types of bullets one time, and we will keep them forever. Now we figured out what boosts our ultimate and how to maintain the bullets. Alright, now it's time to look at how do we stack up this shrapnel buff here as much as possible. Every time we would hit our ultimate, we would remove all the shrapnel stacks from every single target, and we will deal a significantly higher amount of damage based upon how many stacks of shrapnel are actually consumed. The way we do this is here with Igor's incantation number 2. This is a mass attack, it deals reality damage to 1 enemies, it gives him a moxie, right? And it inflicts 5 stacks of shrapnel. That is the key. Now, we can also use low para. If we look at low para's incantation number 2, not only do we apply bullets that, by the way, will stay in our pockets forever, since we are beast deflators and this is a 1 target attack, thanks to Igor, this applies additional shrapnel buffs to our enemies. Same thing here, and even better comes in when we look at Muldir, because she has a debuff incantation that is a 1 target attack, and since she is a beast deflators character, that one also applies shrapnel buffs. This one though is completely out of control because we also inflict passion drain onto our target, which gives a target of our choice an additional moxie. You can use this with Igor, you don't have to. We will have more than 8 moxie at the end of every single turn as well, so you don't need to pay too much close attention to this one, but it is still a very, very beneficial effect to have, and we gain AP +1. So this is an ability that we want to use from turn 2 onwards every single turn. Shrapnel buffs, AP +1, additional moxie. Super, super beneficial. Now, let's take a look at the incantation number 1 from Muldir and low para. Muldir's allows her to enter a counter status, and she will now always cast her ultimate as a counter attack, which shrapnel, right? You get it? Or we even use our incantation number 2 here, which would of course also, you guessed it, apply shrapnel. So no matter which effect you would trigger from this counter ability, it would be extremely beneficial. Then we have to look at low para's incantation number 1, this channel incantation here as well, because it applies bullets to our team. But we do not need to recast this ever. We ever use this one time and one time only, because we will never ever get rid of the bullets anyways, because we will keep our array from our ultimate alive at all times anyways. So this channel here would never ever run out anyways. Okay, now with all of that being said, we can hop into battle and see how things look in action. First of all, let me tell you a little bit about the formation here. It is not extremely important how you place your characters in your team. It is all about our characters, especially low para, giving out bullets to specific targets in front and behind her, right? Why is that not important? Because she will give this ultimate might plus bullet and the incantation bullet to her allies in front and behind her anyways by using her incantation and by using her ultimate. So no matter where you place Igor, if you place Igor in front or behind low para, it doesn't make that much of a difference, because in the end he will gain these bullets anyways and he will keep them at all times active. So it is not crucial, but if you truly want to min-max everything and you want to play it absolutely perfect, you would place Muldir in front. In the middle you have low para, and then at the end here at place number 3 you would have Igor. That is because Muldir receives the incantation bullet a turn earlier and Igor would receive his ultimate bullet 1 turn earlier as well. Again, that is not too much of a big deal, but if you want to aim for absolute perfection, place your team like I just explained. We here switch the places between Muldir and Igor, and then it would be absolutely perfect. Okay, now on to what the rotation look like and how you actually play this team. Never forget to use your unfinished tune first of all. And then you can see that low para here starts with 3 Moxie. We want to increase her Moxie to 5 immediately at round 1. So we activate the channel and we use her incantation, her other incantation. It's the incantation number 2 with her as well. Now we want to gain access to our bullets. Don't forget about that. So we use Igor's buff and we activate Muldir's counter for her to actually immediately use either her incantation number 2 or cast her ultimate so that we inflict the shrapnel buffs and everything. And then on turn 2, you guessed it, we will immediately use Low Para's ultimate, and we have to watch out because this array, as I will show you in just a second, it lasts for 3 turns. We will have to make sure to accumulate enough Moxie with Low Para so that every 3 turns we can recast this ultimate to keep that very array alive at all times. Okay, now we can count. You know, what we aim for is 6 different types of bullets. We only have 3. What does that mean? We want to recast the buff incantation with Igor 1 more time. That is super duper important. So we're gonna go ahead and do exactly that. We don't have it at our disposal, and this is the reason why we have the unfinished tune, to get those bullets up as early as we possibly can. We're gonna go ahead and use that. Then we use Low Para's ultimate for the array so that we never ever gonna lose any bullets that are available to us. From this turn 2 and onwards, you every single turn always want to use the debuff incantation with Muldir to not only apply additional shrapnel stacks to our opponent, but also apply AP +1 to our team. After we have accomplished that, we can start to apply more and more shrapnel stacks to our opponent, and the main way you want to do this is either with Igor's incantation right here, or you have to keep in mind that you have to accumulate additional Moxie with Low Para to recast her ultimate every 3 turns. But you can put an emphasis onto Igor's incantation. Just keep that Moxie generation for Low Para in the backhead and pay a little bit of attention to this, because you never ever want this array to run out ever. Alright. And now the cycle begins. Now, at the end of every single turn, Igor will cast his ultimate. We will always recast Muldir's incantations, the counter incantation, the debuff incantation with Muldir. We will always see to use Low Para's incantation number 2. Remember, we do not have to recast Low Para's channel because she will never use the bullets, and therefore she will always be ready to shoot, which means she channels her ability and casts her incantations for free. Okay, now we can see we have Muldir's ultimate ready to go here. We can activate her counter incantation, we have her debuff, everything is perfect. Let's count our bullets. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. 6 bullets is all that we want, so we never have to recast the buff incantation with Igor right now, and we can go simply for the rotations. We always, once every single turn, use Muldir's debuff incantation for the AP +1. Activate her counter, apply before you use, right? Every time, before you use any ultimate, always make sure you have as many stacks of shrapnel applied to our opponents, so use the 1 target attacks, and then you simply fire off your ultimate. And this is the rotation that you now will continue over and over and over and over again. And this is how you play the character Igor in his team with his daughters. The sustain slot is flexible. You can literally go for any sustain of your liking. It doesn't matter which sustain you use. Fatutu is the best sustain in the game still, so yeah, we are very happy to see her here. And yeah, if you would have to sustain your team actually, right, and you would want to use your sustain actively, don't worry about that at all a single bit, because we have the freedom to do that. As you can see here, if you take a look at my hand, we have Igor's buff incantation twice, we have the channel incantation here for low para, and we don't need to use these things ever again. That's why we have freedom to actually actively use our sustain whenever we please. You know what I mean? And then, like, you tell me what to do here. You can see the Crucible Arsenal, the array from low para is still active 1 turn. We have already accumulated enough Moxie for her to cast this turn, right? Because we have the freedom to do this, so we're gonna go ahead so this shit never runs out ever. We could in theory use it next turn, but why would we use it next turn if we could also do it this turn, right? And that's pretty much about it. Now, your unfinished tune here is really key. It is mainly here to find the debuff incantation for Muldir in case you wouldn't have it. Now I use this turn, obviously, right? I use the 1 target attacks to apply additional shrapnel. I use my ultimate, and now I have freedom to use my sustain in any way, shape or form that I please to. Every single turn you do not have the debuff incantation for Muldir, you generate this with the unfinished tune. That's like the main and core reason why it is actually here. You can also then recast her counter incantation, which will also be generated by this unfinished tune, so everything here comes perfectly together. And those are the things that you have to watch out for. It's pretty simple. Once you reach turn 4, it's very simple because it is just a repeat of debuff incantation with Muldir, one target attacks with everyone. See right here, I do not have my incantation ready with Muldir, the debuff incantation. So of course I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna generate those. Like, simple as that, right? I'm gonna cast both of those. I'm gonna make sure to use my 1 target attacks with my characters to apply the additional shrapnel, and then I'm good to go, right? You can see right here, oh, I have 1 Moxie left. Hey, I can sustain my heal and I can heal them, shield them, etc. And now that's truly it when it comes to how to play Igor in the best possible formation. And we can hop into taking a look into his resonance, not inside, excuse me, into what is the best in slot Psycube for him and how to obtain them, talk a little about his portraits, and so on and so forth. So let's jump right ahead. What Psycube is the best Psycube for Igor? It is his signature Psycube that you are able to purchase from the shop. It is called Across the Acheron, and what it does is pretty interesting. Hear me out. When entering battle, for each beast ally present, including the carrier gains ultimate might plus 4%. So what that means is that in the survey that we just played, we had Fatutu, right? Fatutu is not a beast afflatus character. So if you would like to switch out Fatutu with another sustain, you would profit the most from actually playing a sustain that is from the beast afflatus, because this would grant an additional 4% ultimate might to Igor. It's probably even more when you level this Psycube up, right? You can gain a total of 32% ultimate might via this effect if the entire team is from the beast afflatus, including your sustain. Okay. At the start of the round, for each type of bullet carried, which we will always carry 6, the carrier gains damage dealt plus 2% for the round, stacking up to, you guessed it, 6 times. So this one right here, Across the Acheron, is the best possible Psycube to wield with Igor. Purchase this from the shop for the discount as always. His resonance evolves all around, increasing his crit rate as much as possible, and we're gonna use the elucidation special piece for that, as it always is with every single character that excels at using their ultimate ability. You can just straight up copy the very resonance you have already established for Recoleta, and you will be good to go on that front. Then, looking at his portraits, every single portrait here is really good. Everything synergizes around exactly the best things that apply to Igor. Everything here caters towards the shrapnel debuff. Everything in some way increases the damage of his ultimate, which is exactly what Igor wants. So every single portrait here is actually really good. If you want to know the true juicer and the true power spikes, they lie in portrait number 3 and portrait number 5. Why? Because every other portrait here would increase the damage of Igor's ultimate via other means, just as like shrapnel and the war simulation, everything like that. But portrait number 3 and portrait number 5, they directly increase the flat damage output from Igor's ultimate, and therefore they are the best, and those are the portraits where the true power spike lies. It's portrait number 3 and portrait number 5. Last but not least, let's talk about should you pull for Igor, why, when, how, you know, what's the deal with it. Igor is an absolute must skip character no matter the circumstances. Let's, for example, just say, yeah, maybe you pulled for Tuesday, or you pulled for Marsha recently. Everyone pulled for Marsha except for me, I guess, right? So let's say, whoa, wait a minute, Strawhead, I lost the 50-50 from like Tuesday or from the Marsha pulls to Muldir or to Low Para. Now I'm very tempted, even though I know already that Igor is like not the best character of all time, to pull for him so that I can make use of the character that I lost the 50-50 to. Should I actually go ahead and do that? The answer is no, right? As I said, again, let me repeat that. Igor is a 100% must skip, complete garbage character, no matter how you spin it or how you look at it. That is because, look, first of all, he is not an incredible improvement to Recoleta. The ultimate archetype team that he is from is not crushing it right now. It is like place 7 or even 8 in the meta. That is nowhere near good enough to justify actually investing your bunnies right now, right before this like meta game changing juggernaut version that is 3.4. You would do a huge mistake wasting your bunnies right now for a character like Igor for these very reasons that I listed. And it goes further, you know, even if you play Igor in like the best possible lineup that we just did, you play him with like Low Para, Muldir, and let's say Marsha for the best Beast Afflatus sustain character in the game currently. Even if you would do that, you know what I mean, you still play Igor with lackluster characters, because Low Para is heavily outdated. We all know the fact that Muldir in and of herself is also not like the best character, and if you are now brand new, right before a Juggernaut version, synergizing the best with mediocre characters to not go too harsh on Low Para and Muldir, then yeah, I mean, you don't need to be a genius to figure out that you are not crushing it in this metagame. So sorry Igor, I love you as a character, you are fantastic, you are a badass, you are pretty hot for our girlies, right? But it doesn't matter. The reality of the situation is you suck, and if you suck, you're not worth the bunnies. Sorry about that. But that's it from me for today, guys. I hope this video was fun and informative. If you like Reverse 1999 content in general, please consider leaving a follow on my channel. I would really appreciate it. But until next time, take care of yourselves, have a great day, and can't wait for version 3.4. We love this game.